And we are back for Freedom Forum 2 on the great, what's the date? You don't have the date up, so now I'm lost.
5/26?
5/25. No, don't rush it. This is,
Yep, 5/25.
Seriously,
I'm a day ahead.
I only got 2 weeks to stay at the present age I'm at.
Lot you can do about it.
No, nothing I can do. It's the 25th day of 2016, the month of May. Let's have a short prayer. And dear Lord, we definitely need your intervention into our schools and churches and our country and everything. I know that we've gotten so far away from you that I know that your big stick come out and pop us over the head. I just pray that we can somehow, and it won't be in my lifetime, get this country back to the simplicity of what it used to be when I was growing up. And I feel very fortunate and blessed for having grown up in a town of 400 people and worked in the tobacco fields and farming and just had a variety of things when I was growing up. Today, all we do, the kids play on computers and their iPhones and whatever, and they don't get outside and do the things we need them to do. So I just pray, God, that we can get back to those days. In your name we pray. Amen. And here we are. There was one other thing. Oh, in that meeting I was talking about in the first hour, I have the complete timeline of CARE and all the things that are in here. I wish I would have had 20 copies today, but then I would have had to get Barry's thing. We have something that you don't even see on any news. Have you seen this on?
No, that's why I was saying our news is very heavily censored, and this issue right here is extreme.
The title of this is Paris Under Muslim Siege. News blackout as riots wrecked the city under Muslim siege. News blackout as riots wrecked the city. May 25th. French and Western news media are intentionally blacking out the ferocious riots in Paris, refusing to provide any coverage of violence by savage Muslims in Paris. Hundreds of Parisians have been attacked and seriously injured by roving bands of Islamic radicals, throwing stones, spears, smashing store and car windows, and setting fire to anything they can. Riot police are gassing the wild hordes to no effect. Photos from the various areas in Paris show the mayhem. And there's a whole series of pictures, and it's
Looks just like L.A. during the L.A. riots, the Rodney King riots.
Or even worse. Anyways, stores and shops are being attacked, looted, and burned. Citizens are being stoned, beaten with bats, and cut with broken glass bottles. Police are having improvised explosive devices hurled at them. There is utter chaos taking place throughout Paris right now, and all the official news channels throughout Paris are in total news blackout of these events. Wow. This story will be updated throughout the day. Spread the word. Paris is under attack by the Muslims.
Folks, this is why I constantly preach you should be armed, trained, and prepared for when this day comes here. No one ever would have thought this would be happening in Paris. Here it is. We're importing these animals here. It will happen here. And whether you survive or not may depend on whether you have your gun on you at the time. In other words, everyday carry. You're only as good as what you have on you right now. In the car, don't count. At the house, don't count. What you got is what you got. When it goes down, what if you're not at your house? What if you're out and about and all of a sudden you got a horde of 20 crazy Muslims coming down the street and all you got is Pete and Joe left and right foot? What you gonna do? You best have everyday carry ready to go. That way you can respond in kind, because 20 Muslims with bats and bottles, that sounds like they're gonna make some Cajun hamburgers out of you.
You know, and you made the comment to me about, we were talking about this very thing, and how people don't think this can happen.
But
What,
the
what do they
Parisians
call,
didn't think
what do they call this in California?
the gun apocalypse.
The gun apocalypse.
Folks, what has happened in California, I can summarize very quickly. They are going to make you give up all high-capacity magazines. There is no grandfathered anymore. If this is signed off on by the governor, what it means is if you get caught with a high-cap magazine, it is a felony. It's not a misdemeanor, it's a felony. The other thing is they will force mandatory licensing of ammo. You will have to have a license to buy ammo. You will be restricted in how much ammo you buy, and they will keep track in a database of how much ammo that you have got.
Says gun apocalypse, a package of 10 new gun control laws.
Go ahead.
They need to hone their skills and hone their knives.
Unfortunately, a lot of people have just chosen to move out of California so they don't have to worry about it.
Well, that's why we went to the range yesterday, I believe.
Oh, I'm with you.
I talked to people in my family, and then I need to go get my aluminum foil hat.
Yeah, well, that's okay. It'll be interesting.
Wear it to the next meeting, okay?
I'm trying to make a pretty one.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Have your mama decorated for you.
Yeah, the people, I open carry, and people look at you like you're an outlaw or something. You know, they don't understand what's going on, what's happening.
They will shortly. It's okay.
They're stupid.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
a
it's
good word.
just like I was trimming the branches on the trees in front of my house one day, and a Democrat walked up there. He said, "I could shoot you." I said, "Well, you better arm yourself."
Prepare to engage.
Yeah, you better arm yourself, partner, because I am.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, it just, I don't see him around anymore. I think I'll put the fear of God in him.
Well, that's good. That's good.
But it's just that, everybody needs to get ready, man. I know there's a few of us that are, but there's so many of them that are not.
And the problem, caller, is going to be so many people are going to get caught completely flat-footed when this happens. And they got to understand something. A lot of people who have put work and time into getting themselves ready are not going to share with people
there ain't no
who
sheriff.
have not. If people have not gone and made general preparations to get themselves ready, they ain't gonna share. You tough, go deal
Oh
with
yeah,
it.
if you want to come to my casa, man, you better have as much as I got.
Yep.
Cause I got food on the hoof,
Yeah.
rocking
Yeah, don't
around
show
the
up.
yard, bro.
Don't show up with one pistol and 2 magazines and think you're getting entry, because you're gonna get turned away.
Yeah, 2 magazines. That's just enough to.
That's not a good. That's not
I got
one
a
good
buddy of
pack.
mine. You talked to him yesterday. He said he's going fishing with his AR and 17 mags.
Yep.
And you don't go nowhere without it, you know. There's just a few of us that are like that.
Well, then there will be less of us after it's done, because
Yeah.
God has a bad habit of culling out the ones who don't prepare. So okay.
Yeah, what y'all was saying before about all this stuff with the license plate reading and all that.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of George Orwell's 1984, except he should have said it 2016.
The only thing they didn't predict was that it will be Muslims and not Democrats.
Yeah, but we didn't know that we were going to be importing them.
That's the only thing they didn't predict.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard to
We
tell
didn't
the
know we were
Muslims
going
from the
to
Mexicans.
elect a fake.
Yeah, well, That's
I'm
true.
telling you,
That's
the
true.
United States has had the biggest perpetrated fraudulent presidential election in the history
and
of
our
this
government
country.
let it happen.
And
How did Tom used to say that? It's not who you vote for, it's who counts the votes.
George Soros counts the votes.
yeah,
And by the way, if they would have counted the military vote, Romney would have won.
They didn't count the military vote.
That's what I'm getting at. The
All
helicopter
our
supposedly
honorable
crashed.
men and women in the military, their vote did not count because it was.
Oh, but they weren't Democrats. We only worry about Democrat disenfranchisement. Screw the military.
Illegal aliens, the
Wasn't
right
that
to vote and all that. That's
C-130?
BS, bro.
the
The word
C-130
illegal means
crashed.
you don't got no
Or shot
right.
down or whatever.
was shot with all the voting things. That C-130 coming back to the United States, I think, was shot down.
Yep.
Oh no, it crashed.
Nancy Pelosi was sitting out on the tarmac with an RPG-7 as it passed by. Whoosh! Oh, look, all those Republican votes
Wait,
going up
wait,
in flames.
wait, don't give her that much credit. That she
All
would
right, man. I'm
actually.
gonna catch y'all later.
Yeah,
All
buddy.
right.
All right.
Adios.
Don't give Nancy that much credit that she would even know which end is up.
You got Tom?
I read on a site today that Germany was considering recruiting Muslims for the police department.
Oh my God.
Well, they will be just like the Romans. They will be importing and swearing in the object of their demise.
You know,
The Romans did that too.
we talk about this stuff all the time. I mean, this thing with the guns and what's going on in Paris.
That's another gun-free zone, Paris.
Yeah.
They have no guns.
And you know, you look at people like Pelosi and Reed and all them. I used to hear Tom say that all the time. It's not how you vote, it's who counts the votes.
The Joe Stalin method.
So Reed ran for re-election in Las Vegas,
He rigged it.
in Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who was counting the votes? His son. His son ran the voting machines in the state of Nevada.
Rory Reed.
I mean,
You can't make this stuff up.
you just can't make it up. I mean, you know, we have, this is going to be, we'll definitely get that. I want to just talk about, now here's a leader of a country that gets it. ISIS beheads 5 Russians, so Putin serves up justice like Obama never would. The Islamic State has executed 5 Russian nationals on accusations that they were spying in ISIS-controlled territory.
Yeah, the response was interesting. KGB style.
In response, Vladimir Putin has acted swiftly to show the world's most brutal terror organization who's the boss. According to Russian military and intelligence, Putin has sent the world's largest submarine to the Syrian coast. The Dmitry Donskoy TK-208 NATO-coded Typhoon is carrying 20 Bulava intercontinental ballistic missiles and an estimated 200 nuclear warheads. Putin appears intent on delivering justice to the Islamic scumbags who killed his men. Don't you wish we could say the same for our president?
Yeah, but Jim, that's only half the story. You didn't get the other half. What the KGB did was the KGB snagged their relatives and sent them back to their relatives in pieces. That's not us.
Oh, that's out there.
Yeah, the KGB snagged the terrorist relatives who killed the 5 guys and cut them into pieces and sent those pieces back parcel post to the guys who did it, piece by piece at a time.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? Yeah, you didn't get the whole story.
No, I didn't
and
get
that's
that.
why they don't play with Russia anymore, because they send you back piecemeal. Yeah, they amputate a hand, they cauterize it and let you stay around for a little while. Then they cut an arm off of the elbow and they send them back to their relatives. That's a message.
See, we shouldn't worry about care, right?
Yeah.
32 arrested in Knoxville human traffic operation. Interesting. I mean,
And by the way, Jim, you did miss an interesting opportunity with the black lady that was in charge of this committee today, because based on the issue with CARE, you could have asked her straight up as a question. Well, ma'am, what do you think of slavery? Because CARE is a
no.
Muslim organization, and Muslims currently own black slaves. Currently.
No, Ivy would have had my head. If I'd
Well,
have
I'm
went
just
to-
saying,
Yeah.
those are the facts.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear the facts. Those are the facts.
I don't know how all that turned out, by the way, because they couldn't keep a quorum in the room. And I know who most of the people were that left the room. Out of our distinction.
My reporter on Zika.
Zika virus is a U.S.-made bioweapon.
Yep.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yep. Well, the same thing as that big bird flu epidemic that we had. How do you just happen to have several million doses of vaccine on hand if you weren't the one who released it? That's how that works.
Can we get that guy removed? He's driving me crazy.
He needs some medical help.
Him and his teddy bear.
He's nuts.
But, I mean, when you sit at the Capitol, and I tell people, you need to go. Whether you testify or not is not important. When you sit there, you get an education beyond anything that you can ever imagine. Not just watching the committee, but watching the other idiots that testify. And I'm telling you, you walk a thin line. I talked to my buddy today. They're making me go through security now every time I go in. He said they had an incident. I said, well, I'm not going to cause any trouble.
Oh no, you just have to sit there. They just look at you and their blood pressure goes up.
No, not in the meeting. When I come in to the building,
Even then, when they see you, their blood pressure goes up.
some of them, the state police all say hi to me. I don't understand.
Yeah, hey, they know
Maybe
you.
that came from last year.
They know you.
Well, some of them do. You know who was supposed to be at that committee meeting today?
No.
Leger. He
Wonder where he
wasn't
was.
there.
Heard you were coming?
Must have.
Wait. Walt Leger's a scared. He's a scared.
Get run over by this blonde today.
Grunk, grunk.
Someone did mention to me today, we haven't seen you in the education meetings.
Well, you've been elsewhere.
I said, I spread my wings this year. I've been to 4 or 5 different committee meetings that I never went to in all the years I was over there.
Well, hey,
You go where you think you're needed.
you go where the action is.
Let's talk about this. I hope, and Jeremy, I think it was Jeremy that asked me to talk about the deal in Paris. If you think that can't happen, I want you to watch the news video of New Mexico where Trump was speaking. Watch that. And then think about what's happening in Paris. Now, these aren't Muslims, but I guarantee you, every one of those people that was protesting today got paid.
Oh, of course, Soros backed.
Got paid $15 an hour to cause trouble. And the police finally had enough, and they showed a section of handcuffed people laying on the ground face down. And I said, gee, isn't that what you're supposed to do? Can you imagine if you and I went to the council meeting and started knocking people around? How fast would we be in jail?
We would be finding out what the booking procedures and delousing station was like at Lafayette Parish Correctional. We'd probably get trustee status in a few months and be able to go pick up garbage on 90 with the crew. I hear the airport detail is pretty good. Yeah,
I mean, really,
I know.
it's and people think that's an absurd statement. That's not an absurd statement. But I will guarantee you that if we were of another
Persuasion.
persuasion, we wouldn't even get arrested.
The only thing, Jim, that I can say to make the public feel
That
better
was a racist statement, by the way.
is the political pendulum is one side right now. and it will swing back. And as I have said on Facebook, there are people who will be very, very, very unhappy when that pendulum swings back. Because when it does, you know, you shall reap what you have sown, and unfortunately, it's going to be deep. What we have right here is the Obama administration has literally purged the U.S. counterterrorism agencies of terrorism training. Yes. For the record, the Obama administration in 2011-2012 effectively neutered the FBI counterterrorism training and blinded our nation's intelligence agencies to the threat from Islamic terrorism. The purge has contributed to clues missed by the FBI in major cases. One of the first indicators was an anti-terrorism conference that was scheduled in August of 2011 that was hosted by the CIA's Threat Management Unit, as reported by the veteran Pentagon reporter Bill Gertz at the Washington Times. The conference was canceled because groups like CARE objected to the presentation
That's a nice people.
that was to be conducted by the former Joint Chiefs of Staff, intelligence analyst, and international law expert Stephen Coughlin and Steve Emerson of the Investigative Project on Terrorism. It just gets better and better and
How
better.
comes CARE keeps calling, coming up today?
Also, books at the library and the FBI Academy were deemed offensive. It just gets better and better and better.
Well, I saw a thing today where a school or a university, a school, said that all books were banned on campus
Now,
that said that were against climate change.
here's the interesting part. Some of the organizations that the Government Office of Civil Rights and Civil Liberties partnered with have been identified by the Justice Department as fronts for international terror in the Holy Land Foundation terrorism financing trial in 07 and 08, including Islamic Society of North America, North American Islamic Trust, CARE. At the time these guidelines were
Keeps
published,
coming up.
the president of one of these organizations was serving on the DHS Countering Violent Extremism Working Group. Yet, Justice says they're a front for terrorist organizations. And they are unindicted co-conspirators in that trial. But all of our intelligence has been basically neutered. Folks, and this is a thick article. We're not going to go all the way through it. But what
It's
this
11 pages.
article does in 11 pages is to document the fact that the Muslim in the White House, and you know who I'm speaking of, has purposely, methodically, and insidiously done everything he can so that our intelligence agencies are neutered and blind so that the Muslims can take over this country. And we have more than 23 Islamic ISIS training bases in the U.S. right now that nothing is being done about. But we have U.S. Marshal Special Operations Group SWAT teams chasing down delinquent student loans. So let's get this straight. We have proven violent Islamic terrorists training with possible illegal weapons on this soil as we speak. But our government chooses to go after civil delinquent student loans with SWAT teams armed with automatic weapons. Okay.
It's just like that falls in the category of writing a bill that you can't be a stripper until you're 21 years old. I mean, really, we have a budget problem in the capital, in the state of Louisiana, and we're worried about people stripping if they're 18 or 21 years old.
And it was a joke. The initial one.
No,
Well, no, the initial one was a joke.
one was a joke.
Yeah,
but
now they got the full
Now
one.
it's actually and then they ripped a guy for making a joke about it. Unbelievable. We got some
Yep.
real clowns.
Now, we have more problems going on right now that are interesting.
Oh, wait, look. 2 officers in Freddie Gray case sue Marilyn Mosby for defamation of character.
And by the way, Officer Nero had a judge trial and was found not guilty. Now, here goes the rub. What does the mayor do? The mayor immediately goes and gets in front of the news media to announce the not guilty verdict so the rioters can go to work.
Yeah, and they did. And guess what? They didn't stop them. Did they?
I don't think there were any, were
I don't know. I
don't
didn't
know
see.
if there was rioting.
Yeah. Well, no, she wanted it.
Yeah.
No, she wanted riot. That's the point I'm getting at. She immediately ran to the newspapers to show the verdict so that Black Lives Matter would be out and about.
I saw. Oh, that's our buddy.
That's Austin.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Austin.
Hello. Brad,
Hey.
how you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah, you can't, little girls can't sell, I gotta get a license to sell lemonade over here in this country.
That's true.
You can't collect rainwater in certain states, but yet, like you said, the Gestapo, control everything else.
Well, the state of Louisiana did pass a bill that says that the little lemonade stands in that don't have to pay sales tax. We spent time passing a bill.
Why not just leave them the hell alone?
Or have a license.
Just leave them alone.
It just gets better and better.
Just don't mess with them. Why you have to put it in a law? Just don't mess with them.
$600 million shortfall in our budget, and we're worried about kids selling lemonade on the
Okay,
side.
well, thank y'all very much. Y'all have a good one.
All
You
right.
too, buddy. Thanks for calling.
Here's one that is of particular interest. Paul Ryan in
Oh,
the
God.
House in Washington continues to show what a rhino Republican communist he really is.
Oh,
Puerto Rico is going down. Their big banks sold them out like everybody else. Well, Paul Ryan
that is a good one.
is determined that the U.S. taxpayer will be on the hook for this. He said about a week ago there would be no bailout. There would be no bailout. Folks, here is the paperwork right here. Paul Ryan moves to cram Puerto Rico rescue. Folks,
Not
they're
a
playing
bailout.
word games regardless of
Not
what.
a bailout.
Yeah, whatever word it is, he wants the American taxpayer to be on the hook for something that some idiot banker did in Puerto Rico. Folks, I agree with Trump. It is time to let these people go bankrupt and suffer the pain. Let them have a revolt over there, get their pitchforks, and chase their bankers down the street and hang them from the tent poles.
It's like this.
Yeah, yeah.
Bang your head into the desk.
But this is what Paul Ryan wants to do. He wants to. He is getting a House Natural Resources Committee to reach a tentative agreement with President Obama. Folks, we have been sold out at a big level. And by the way, the island is going to miss a $2 billion debt payment on July the 1st. And
To us.
Ryan.
To us.
Ryan is promising Democrats that he would develop a rescue plan. Little is known about the precise deal, except that the backers insist it is not a bailout. I don't care what he calls it. If U.S. taxpayer money pays for it, there it is. I don't care what he calls it.
I found that I had this article on the list of gasoline companies who do not import oil from the Middle East.
Okay.
But what I found interesting was the picture.
Yeah, I saw that.
They show 2 females close together, one pumping gas and the other one got her hand on the other girl's chest.
Oh,
Yeah, it's right here. I mean, it's like we're taking the LGBT thing to new heights. I would like to tell you the companies real quick while Brett's getting ready for his. Here are some of the companies that do not import Middle Eastern oil. Murphy, Sunoco.
Murphy USA is Walmart.
Can't be Conoco.
Conoco is, well, I don't know. I thought Conoco was Venezuela.
So did I. There's something wrong. Here are some large companies that do not import Middle Eastern oil. But they don't have, wait a minute. That's not,
Might not be a correct list. Could be a
these
little.
companies import oil. I mean, I know that sold at Walmart. I know Murphy doesn't. Sunoco, but I don't know about Conoco.
I don't know.
Sinclair, VP Phillips, Hess, Arco,
Well, BP
Pilot,
Phillips is British
Flying
Petroleum.
J, Loves, Racetrack, and
That
Valero.
can't be correct.
Valero is a Texas.
But that can't be correct because British Petroleum, by the very name, British Petroleum. That's the whole point of their
But
selling.
it's saying they don't import Middle Eastern oil.
Well,
So they-
England don't have much of their own, so it's got to come from somewhere.
They get a lot of theirs from the North Sea.
That's about it, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know if anybody's been keeping track of Drudge, but
I just thought the picture was
Yeah.
rather intriguing.
the original work of fiction that inflamed a nation, Roots, has been reborn for the Black Lives Matter crowd. Now, it's interesting. They have remade Roots. Now, here's the interesting rub on it. It is more violent. They use more of the N-word, and the original white heroes that Alex Haley wrote into the plot have been removed. So to stir the racial hatred. Now, most people don't know that Alex Haley's work, Roots, was a complete work of fiction, had no historic significance whatsoever. Now, Valerie Jarrett had the whole cast of this menagerie at the White House.
Valerie.
Yes. And my basic comment on that was, okay, how about the Irish slaves? What about them? You know?
Yeah, I
And
saw
by
that
the
on
way,
Facebook.
I didn't see any mention of the black slave owners who owned other blacks. I didn't see any mention of the Muslim slave traders and slave owners currently. All this new movie of Roots does is another attempt to validate the current racial politics by the White House, the Black Lives Matter agenda, and to further the racial foolishness that's going now. That's all it does. There's nothing else going on except that. Oh, and by the way, Monday, Washington set a record. 225 Syrian refugees on Monday admitted and 80 admitted on Tuesday. They set a record. How do you like that?
I saw one of them buses
Oh.
on my way to Baton Rouge.
And by the way, one of the news media outlets made a mistake. Bill Cosby has been ordered to stand trial, and they were having trouble getting their bills right. Yeah, they were having a little trouble, and old Bill
Y'all
is
got that?
scot-free.
Could be two bills.
And it's pretty interesting. Herman Cain's website pointed out that NBC is not upset that Bill Clinton is a rapist and that it was covered up. They are just upset that Donald Trump is pointing it out that Bill was a racist. Yeah. I don't know who is dumber, the Hillary supporters or the climate change people. Take a pick, you know. Breitbart is reporting that the Minnesota Democratic Governor, Mark Dayton, designated Monday as Beyonce Day. Yes.
You are kidding me.
No, I'm not.
Where is this at?
Minnesota.
Well, what I want to say about Minnesota is let's just look at who their senator is.
Now I'm going to say something now that is going
Comedian.
to greatly aggravate Jim and all of the Vietnam vets. Obama, that communist moron, is in Vietnam shaking hands with the premier of Vietnam under the bust of Ho Chi Minh. Folks,
You
that-
know who he pissed off, right?
oh,
I mean ticked off.
which day? Which day?
Chinese.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. The Chinese are upset that he lifted the
Weapons ban.
weapons
Yeah,
embargo.
yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
They are upset. But, you know, Obama has created a wonderful foreign relations for the United States of America since he's been in office.
Oh, talking about old Hillary there, Glenn Beck has supposedly proven that Vince Foster's death was not a suicide. Okay. For those of y'all who are not familiar with Vince Foster, let's talk about old Vince. Vince Foster was the White House counsel who was intimately familiar, and I say that in the conjugal marital text with Hillary as long as he was counsel until he died. Shows bad taste. Yes, Hillary did like men for a while. I mean, occasionally, she's all over. She's all over the place. We don't know what she is.
Try.
Yeah, she's whatever. But anyway, Vince was there for the Rose Law Firm debacle where Hillary bought cattle futures for a few thousand and came out with millions. He was there when people were executed. He was there for the drug deals. He was there for all of the foolishness. Well, it's a very interesting thing. Vince was found dead in a park in D.C., and it was very interesting. It's supposedly a suicide. Well, let's start at the beginning. Vince is right-handed, and the gun was found in his left hand. Number two, the trigger finger was behind the trigger in the revolver. Therefore, it can't fire. But boy, there were 3 bullets in old Vince's head. That's a heck of a dying reflex. No blood at the scene, mud on the back of his shoes, and skid marks where he was drug into place. Yet it was a suicide officially. And by the way, before any investigative body could get into Vince's office at the White House, Hillary had her aides seal it, strip it, and took everything out of it. That way, anything incriminating was removed, and that is where it stopped. Now, back in the 90s, I used to have a list, the kill list of Kill and Hillary. And back then, it was 120 people deep. Oh, like the guy who happened to witness one of Bill Clinton's drug deals that was shot 30 times in the back, and the Arkansas coroner ruled it a suicide. How about the 2 boys that were playing on the tracks?
Must have had an AR set up on a stand.
Must have.
And pulled a string with his back.
Yeah, 2 boys made the mistake of seeing a Bill Clinton drug deal and turned up dead. Barry Seal, who was killed in Louisiana, was formerly a Poppy Bush pilot for Air America, flying bodies of our GIs filled with opium from the Golden Triangle back, and then later went to work for Bill Clinton. Well, Bill Clinton was going into public office, so he had to be killed. Now, here's another interesting one, folks.
So it wasn't good to work for the Clintons.
The 4 ATF agents who were killed at Waco. Now, that's an interesting thing, because you know, Davidians got charged for their murder under the felony murder rule. Well, let's go back and examine the facts. And boy, I wish I still had that Soldier of Fortune magazine, because an autopsy was done. The PMC Ammo Company at that time made a hollow bullet. It was not just a hollow point, it was a hollow bullet that had a special plug in the back of it to enable it to fire. The ATF was using an armor cutting version. Picture a flying cookie cutter that would cut body armor. And gee darn if those 4 dead ATF agents didn't have those in their backs, because they were former Clinton bodyguards. And what it was a targeted assassination within an operation. Now, I have a good friend who shall remain anonymous, who told me that the Colorado office of ATF, when they were amongst themselves, would admit it was a blue on blue shooting, meaning they would acknowledge they killed their own.
Wow.
But the Davidians were exterminated because Bill Clinton was cleaning up his dirty laundry, and over 70 some odd men, women, and children had to die.
Wow.
Now, here goes the best part. I sat and watched a whining, moaning ninny of an ATF agent. Whoa, whoa, we were taking fire, and they shot at us. Okay, well, since the front door of the Davidian compound has been taken out of the evidence locker of the Texas Rangers, we have shown that is a lie, because it showed conclusively ATF is the only people that did any shooting at that turkey match. And then your friend and mine, Oberfuhrer Sieg Heil Janet Reno,
Oh, God.
testified ATF hit the Davidian compound on the basis of child abuse. Okay, folks, let's see how this works. You take a tank and you park the nose of the nozzle of the tank in a building, and you mix tear gas with paint thinner, and you hose the inhabitants down with this mixture, yet you're there for child abuse, and in the end, fart, belch, and itch burns over 70 people and children to death in the fire. But that lying piece of narcissistic trash gets in front of Congress and says, but we're there for the children. You know, I wouldn't have wanted to sit too close to the winch because I think lightning might have struck, you know? And then the best part comes out. Here it goes, the rub. I watched this live on Sean Hannity about 3-4 years ago. Dick Morris, who was a Hillary and Kill insider, let it slip that Janet Reno blackmailed Bill Clinton in the second term into letting her be the AG, or she was going to let it out that there were undisclosed secrets about Waco. Folks, you just can't make this stuff up. Now, folks, I got another update for you. I'm going to go through my little pile here, and basically what it is, it's an update on Lavoy Finicum. And the interesting part about old Lavoy
That is.
is the fact that more information has come out about the whole Lavoy Finicum Malheur refuge style shooting. And what came out of it is that the guy that was sitting in the front seat of the vehicle was not arrested. He was not even charged. Let me see if I kept that on my phone here. I think I did. And this is getting to be really, really interesting because the inside story of this thing, here we go. It's a deep, deep conspiracy. Basically, what they're alleging here was the Finicum shooting was the Bundy driver / bodyguard an FBI agent provocateur. And the reason why that has significance for us, folks, I don't know if y'all realize it, but since 2001, Fart, Belch, and Itch, allegedly known as the FBI, has not had a single successful, independently corroborated, initiated investigation without putting a person into a group, conspiring with that group, pushing them to do something, providing the weapons to do it, then arresting them all. We call that entrapment, but it's the feds, you know what you're going to do. But here is the interesting part about this. In the official incident report on the Lavoy Finicum debacle, the conspicuous exclusion of the bodyguard's name in the 360-page report is being released as further evidence that he was the informant and the rat. He was a major player inside the 41-day siege, and he was the driver. His name was Brian Buddha Cavalier, and he was the driver of the vehicle that Lavoy Finicum was in when everything went south.
It's amazing.
You know?
I mean,
Now, Brian Cavalier, in this article, was a fellow occupier going to the meeting, and they got a picture of the old boy here. And the rat in question's name is Mark McConnell. Now, he is allegedly from Buckeye, Arizona. And it's very interesting because after Lavoy Finicum was shot to death, McConnell was arrested, but shortly after that, he was released. No charges, no nothing. And it gets even more interesting after that. He was considered a big ringleader in all of this. And a former occupier was interviewed. He, according to another occupant of that car, was the only occupant of the vehicles who was wearing a loaded firearm. And this claim was reinforced by arresting officer number 7 in the incident report. Plot thickens. Nobody else had a weapon. And yet, Officer 7 was asked if any of the occupants of the lead vehicle were arrested. And he says, kind of hesitantly, that he saw a person with a pistol, something on his hip, and that would be a reference to him. But he was released. His name does not appear among those arrested. Anything. Folks,
it's absolutely amazing.
Folks, we will never, ever get justice for Lavoy Finicum as we have never gotten justice for Vicki Weaver, Sammy Weaver, or the over 70 dead at Waco. But folks, in the coming months, the coming years, you need to really seriously think on this, because this affects how this country is going to proceed. These federal murderers, and I use the word murderer because this was a targeted assassination. You didn't see the government assassinating Black Lives Matter members. You didn't see the government assassinating Baltimore protesters or Ferguson protesters, did
Nobody
you?
got arrested.
But because these guys were white Christian conservatives, somebody had to die. Somebody had to die to send a message to white Christian conservatives that if you don't march to the politically correct racial meme, this is what happens to you.
Here's the other thing that I saw today. Obama said that it's very dangerous to let Christians be
Refugees.
Correct. Into the United States.
Correct. That's correct.
Excuse me? I mean,
That is correct.
you know what? That statement right there, people don't get it. I mean, I don't know where you're going with that, but I want to make a little.
I was just going to mention Freddie Gray's rap sheet here.
Oh,
that
God.
wonderful innocent little man that they wrongfully arrested.
Is it longer than my arm?
Okay, he has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 distributions of narcotics, 2 possessions of narcotics, and stolen property. And for the record, folks, it is standard procedure in any jurisdiction that if the 5-0 stops you and you run, they're going to chase you. And if they happen to catch you with an illegal knife in your pocket like they did with Freddie Gray, that's a valid charge. And then they arrest you and they bring you to the Hooskow, the Pokey, the home of the 5-0, the jail, over here, the parish, okay? So all of the stuff that they have said about he was illegally arrested is bull manure, sheep hockey, goat droppings, whatever you like. Something smells. He was basically correctly arrested, and those offers were sacrificed on the racial altar of Black Lives Matter politics and the political career of Carolyn Mosby and the mayor.
Exactly. Some people are trying to figure out how them people got elected.
Well,
I can figure that out.
We know how it works. It's a Democrat bastion. Fire away, Jim.
Well, my good buddy here, Dinesh D'Souza,
Dinesh D'Souza. He's an interesting guy.
He is an interesting.
He he's
He
paid
has some gonads.
and oh yeah, he got sent to federal prison for something that the Clintons should have been buried under.
Exactly. This year, the Progressive Crime Syndicate, led by Crooked Hillary, is on a march to the White House, where all of the wealth, and begin to pillage it. Y'all do know that they had to return $60,000 or $70,000 worth of stuff they stole from the White House.
No. In one article, it was up to $200,000
Oh, really?
of antique furniture
Oh,
that
my
they
God.
stole. Yeah,
So,
they stole
so
the
what we
antiques.
can do, I offer my remedy in this video, which I forgot to bring to show you the trailer of this
Next week.
next week.
Next week.
But anyways, here's one thing I know we can do to stop Hillary. There's no better way to send a message to the thugs, and I won't repeat the other thing, by reserving a theater in your town and organizing a group showing of Hillary's America.
So we're going to show it here.
We're going to show the trailer here. The movie's about an hour and a half.
Shoot, we ought to show
By
that here too.
upcoming, it's time to pull back the curtain and listen to what he says and reveal the truth behind the party of slavery and the KKK.
You know, folks don't remember this, and it's an interesting factoid. The former president of the Senate, before Harry Reid, history lesson, who was he? Robert KKK Byrd, the
Exactly.
Grand Kleagle of the local KKK branch. You notice, though, it's okay for Hillary to be hugging on the Grand Dragon of the KKK as long as he's a Democrat. It's okay. You notice that? He could be president of the Senate. Shoot, he can do anything he wants, and they just smile and think that's great. It's okay, because the rules are different. As long as you're a Democrat, rules are different.
Yeah, next week I'm going to talk about the
And
fork,
folks,
the fork in the road
Oh, yeah.
between nationalism and
again, folks,
conservatism.
we're seeing all of this hypocrisy and all of these strange little rules for Democrats. I'm telling you, folks, and I will buy lunch for people if I'm wrong, but I'm not going to be wrong. When that political pendulum swings back the other way, you're going to have some people that'll be crying like schoolgirls who got their lunch stole. It is going to be ugly. Oh, here we go. Fire away.
We're not going to get to cover all this tonight. We only got a couple
Yeah.
minutes, but
More state police
more
issues.
state police. LSP report on the tangled mess in the 4th Judicial District Court expected this week. Should we anticipate selective justice?
No, we don't have selective justice.
Selective
No,
justice.
no.
That's a headline.
We have the State Troopers Association who's making political contributions to Dumbbell Edwards and campaigning for him. We have Mike Edmondson who's got troopers who are falsifying timesheets, who are having sex in cars and doing all kinds of crazy things,
Well,
and
the first
nothing happens.
paragraph says, more than 28 months ago, then Deputy Administrator Louisiana's 4th Judicial District Court, Julie Cunningham, raised flags about senior law clerk Allison Campbell's sometimes prolonged absences from work while still being paid based upon timesheets proclaiming her presence.
Oh wait, that's kind of like State Police Colonel Mike Edmondson getting a raise that nobody else got
We're gonna
for his retirement.
I want to keep this for next Wednesday.
Oh yeah. You know, Jim,
We might have more by then.
Jim, what do you think? We have a 2-hour show that's split into hour-long blocks. What would you think if, and not only show the trailer to Dinesh D'Souza, but what would you think if we actually showed the movie?
Oh,
Here.
God. We'll show the trailer first.
No, but what would you think?
Oh, God. Yeah, I would think
I
that's...
think we should do that. We should show Dinesh D'Souza's movie, because let me tell you, Dinesh D'Souza I'm well familiar with from the Reagan years. He pulls no punches. He does good research. He went to the federal pen for it.
We'll show the trailer next week.
Oh, it's going to be
And
excellent.
then we will have the people.
Yeah, Brock saying, yes, show it.
Yeah, well, I figured he would.
Oh, yeah.
Probably a few more out there that would
Oh,
do
yeah.
that too.
Oh, yeah.
The thing is, And we'd have to break it up. We'd have to stop it.
I think that would be a worthwhile
I
endeavor,
gotta see
though.
if I can get the whole
I think it would be
video.
a worthwhile endeavor,
I
Jim,
think what
because,
we can do is show the trailer and then kind of ask people to call
Yeah.
in and say, do you want to see the rest?
see, Jim and I talked about seeing if a local movie theater would air it, but the problem with a movie theater is politics. Whereas we control the content of our show here.
Well,
So,
and we would only approach a TV or a theater that's not under the guise of no weapons.
yep, there's only one in this
And
area.
there's only one, and that's in Broussard.
Yeah, the Broussard Movie Theater.
I know the guy. I used to know the manager when we did that one video that stayed there for 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
Yep.
30 seconds. Well, people, over the next week, 2 weeks, we're going to talk about I-49. The session will be over, and the special session, I heard, will start at 6:01.
Yeah, the corruption in the special session starts.
You know, the debt ceiling is not there. There are a lot of other things to do. But anyways,
Folks, get your
have a
Bibles.
great week.
Bible